Hello, everyone. Can you folks hear me? You can choose to react if you're able to hear me loud and clear. Perfect. Okay, I see some reactions. Welcome everyone for the day one of AI Accelerator program. Can you folks hear me? Yes. Now I can see people typing in. All right. Wonderful. How are you all doing? Great. I hope we are ready to get started. Okay. So before we begin, I have few really important instructions for a lot of people who have not attended the day zero on Friday, which is the kickoff session, which had some really important instructions that were shared. So I want to quickly share. I'll ask my team to quickly drop a document in the chat so that you guys can quickly skim through that document of what we have discussed on day zero. It's a recap document of day zero. So team, can we post this in the chat, please? There you go, people. So you have the kickoff recap document in the chat. So go through. If you've missed day zero, please go through. But again, I will also do a quick recap of what we have done.
Hey Bharadwaj, we cannot hear you.
Can you folks hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Perfect. All right. Can I get some boom in the chat to get started? Like we always do in Mastermind. A fire emoji or a boom in the chat. Great. This is the excitement that I'm looking forward to. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. So, quick check before we head. Recap of the things that we've discussed on the onboarding, which is the kickoff call that happened on last Friday, which is called day zero. LMS access for all of you was given, and we have gone through and we had a run through of the LMS on how it looks like. So, for everything and anything, the source of truth is your LMS, right? So, any session link, any resource, pre reads, post reads, recording, all of that will be available on the dashboard, which is your LMS. All right. If you're on this call, that means you have access to LMS. All right. So tools of all the tools are on also on the LMS. Any access will be given, but I need a promise from you. I've seen a few emails. My team is replying. In fact, we're also replying to each and every email that's coming in on the Axel support at the rate outskill.com that we are getting. We are getting a lot of emails on tools. Like I said, it will take a little while for us to fix the tool issue on your end individually, right? Because we'll have to speak to the partners and get the coupon code sorted. So I need a promise from you. Let's forget about the tools for now, because the tools is not the main thing that's gonna make this session fruitful, because there are a lot of concepts and topics that will be discussed that is more than important than your tools access, right? You will get the tools access if you're facing any issue, but focus on what is being taught in today's session, right? At the end of the session, I will help you with access, so do not worry about it, right? So we discussed about the schedule of the 14-day agenda for what is going to be covered today, and expectation setting, and some very important community guidelines. Please don't spam the chat, and I'm turning the chat off. We will keep turning the chat off in the meanwhile, because it distracts the mentor as well. So the chat will be moderated, right? So don't worry if you're unable to chat. We will enable whenever we want to, right? Okay, moving ahead. So here's the schedule looking like. Today is day one, and on Sunday is when your teaching lectures end. And from Monday, the office hours begin. Now, what happens in the office hours? Well, office hours is all about recap. I'll get there. But day one, today we're learning about fundamentals of Gen AI. And day two, we're learning image and video manipulation and AI cloning. Day three, which is on Wednesday, we are learning AI automations, which is using NA10. So these sessions typically start at 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. That translates to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? On day four, on October 2nd, we're learning how to build our first AI agent using NA10. And on Friday, we are going something beyond Gen AI prompting, which is model context protocols that you've heard for the first time, maybe. On day six, you have two sessions. One is creating voice agent, and second is building product architecture, right? On day seven, you will have building Jerry, which is on Sunday. All of you must have heard about Jerry. So you will learn how to build Jerry and a minimum viable product also in 6 hours, right? So that is for the next 7 days schedule looking like. And after the 7 days, you have office hours coming in. This detailed schedule is provided in your recap doc. Team, we can turn the chat off and drop this recap document in the chat itself again, right? So that they can go through. Keep it saved with you people. Do not come back with questions on what happened on day zero or what is the schedule looking like. The schedule is given on LMS. It is given in the recap doc. And I am talking about the schedule as well, right? So moving ahead, one important question that I always had for all of you in the day zero. If you were not part of day zero, just pay attention to what the chat is saying. Remember, people, what are we getting up to become? What are we getting up to become? Yes, we're all getting up to become AIGs. Perfect. And there are some absolute rules that we need to follow to get up to become an AIG. The rule number one is, yes, of course, we're all getting up to become AIGs. The rule number two is problem solving. Think of solving problems using AI. And the rule number three is we're all wearing this invisible hat, right? We're all wearing this invisible hat of experience. So we keep that aside and take every learning possible with an open mind. All right. So that is rule number three. Okay. And one more very, very, very important instruction before we move to the mentor and before I introduce the mentors for the day. Today, the session will go up to 2.5 to 3 hours where you will constantly learn a lot of things. Now, please take a notebook or a paper and a pen and start making notes, because as you watch, you will get a lot of ideas, right? And you want them to be implemented sometime later. As a human, we have this tendency to forget things. So making a note will always help you to go back and revisit of the concepts that you've had, right? So we take a moment to reflect at the end. All right, that is instruction one. Instruction two, no spamming in the chat when we open the chat. No WhatsApp links or any links, Facebook links or anything will not be shared. Rule number three is most important. We will take all your questions at the end of the session. We have close to 10 mentors sitting in the call, right? Who will answer each of your questions inside breakout rooms, right? And what happens inside breakout rooms? Of course, you will not unmute yourself, but it is a smaller group which will have mentor who will answer your questions on a in a moderated fashion using a link called Slido. Okay, it's a moderated way to have these Q&A sorted so that we can have questions, all of your questions answered. All right. You can use the reactions if I'm clear. Am I clear, people? You can use a reaction so that I can see some reactions popping up. Okay. And these Q&A breakout rooms will not be recorded because Zoom does not allow us to record these breakout rooms. All right. I hope we understand. We will give you a transcript maybe of the Q&A or maybe the transcript of the lecture so that you can build your own knowledge bank so that you guys can get answers to your questions by building your own custom GPTs. All right. So with that being said, without further ado, I would want to introduce you to the mentor for today is KVS Dilip, who is the head of generative AI for education and AI strategist, and also a leader who's been serving at Outskill for a couple of years now. And he is here and he's going to teach you about Gen AI fundamentals and some very good prompting techniques and also some few hacks that you will not know, and that'll absolutely blow your mind off. Hi, Dilip. How are you doing?
I'm good, Bharadwaj. Again, glad to be back. So, folks, how many of you remember me? I guess I should have shown my face to at least 70% of you, but in case, how many of you remember me? Okay, that's good because I don't have to introduce myself again, build the bond overall with you guys. I know that you know this overall. Okay, all right. Yeah, Bharadwaj, if you can introduce the co-mentors also for today.
Yes. And people, these are all your co-mentors who are there who will be taking care of your Q&A at the end and during the session as well. There are some cues that you will have. So these are the folks who have turned their cameras on. Hi, Syed. Hi, Sai. Hi, Cameron. Hi, Krishna. Hi, Harshit. Hi, KK. How are you doing? Hi, Lakshit. Hi, Abhinay. Great. So these are all your mentors who will be helping you. Hi, Simran. These are all the mentors who will be helping you during the Q&A segment. All your questions will be answered based on the session that happens today. Anything outside might not be relevant for the scope of this session. So keep your questions towards the learning that you're making today. All right. With that being said, I took 15 minutes. I'm so sorry. Without further ado, I would want to give it to Dilip now to get started with the session.
All right, all right. So let's get started. So, folks, the way I will do this session, I think all of you are there. You remember me, right? For those of you who don't know me, who don't remember me, quick heads up of who I am. My name is Dilip, and I have been the head of, I'm being the head of generative AI education at Outskill. Before that, I had done my PhD, dropped out of the PhD overall, and at that point in time. I have published around 4 international papers in AI. So I did AI before AI was cool right now. And then I've worked in a bunch of education companies and currently at Outskill. All right. So we will get started right away without any further ado. So before we start, a few expectation settings. I will keep turning the chat on and off. The chat is for me to communicate with you. So in case I have something to ask you, I will keep checking in with you. And the rule of thumb I'll do is any concept when I explain, if 80% of the folks are able to understand, that means that the majority have understood and I'll move ahead. For the few people who might not have grasped it, I will do a quick recap and move ahead. If you still don't understand, you will have to look at the recording. I will not be able to repeat the same concept over and over again. Some people will find it slow, some people will find it fast, etc. Right? For what you should do is for those who feel it slow, right, be tolerant because others are catching up. For those who feel it fast, uh, don't worry, you will catch up and you will get used to this pace. Okay, so we will get started right away with this expectation set. And let me share my screen. So the way I do things is I have the deck which is used as an anchor, but I keep switching between applications because this is more like a show and tell, and it is not exactly a teaching where I use deck and teach from the deck. All right. So the deck is there only for me to remember, okay, what are the topics to be covered? And then a lot of it is show and tell overall. All right. So let me take the deck. All right. So here is a deck and let me just so I have another monitor, so I just am arranging the screen so that I see it visible. And of course, keep the reactions will be on so that anytime you have something, you can do the reactions also. So quickly, Q&A will be there at the end. Chat will be enabled between the sections, right? Any follow-up questions or clarifications will be towards the end, and you will receive some post-reads end of the class, which will contain all the links and tools. So don't worry, everything will be provided. All right. So what is the agenda for today? We are going to go into the prompting and the CoStar framework. We will try to understand the basics of prompting. We will go deeper into meta prompting, like how do you make write prompts that can actually make other prompts. So how can you write a master prompt that can help you build any other prompts? Then we are going to go hands-on with AI playgrounds like OpenAI and Gemini. We will try to look at running LLMs locally using Mishti Studio, some fundamentals of RAGs, a simple RAG with Mishti. And in case you are unable to work with Mishti Studio, I will show you some alternatives. We will look at how do you build a RAG system practically, and then how we'll look at some Q&A overall. All right. Again, quickly, I am Dilip, head of generative AI strategist and leader at Outskill. So let's dive into today's session right away. Okay, so quickly, the holy grail of the future market is the AI generalist, where you are looking at AI literacy, domain expertise, and operational execution. Now, one thing I want all of you to remember is what we will be focusing on is the AI literacy. The domain expertise is something you will have to bring to the table. So what it means is don't expect use cases like I am not able to relate to the use case. It is my domain, etc. This is a AI generalist program. Okay, it is not a AI for X, AI for Y, AI for Z, AI for real estate, AI for somebody else, etc. This is a AI generalist accelerator program. So what it means is we will focus on AI literacy, and this gap that you have, that is what we will try to fulfill in today's session and the sessions ahead. Domain expertise and operational execution is something that you will have to bring through overall. Okay, so the idea is that we want you to move ahead from basic users. I think all of you are at the level of basic users. You are using ChatGPT, you are using, Claude or any other things. So you are at a basic user level, and our idea is through the program, you reach a level where you actually build some prompts for yourself, build some automations, build agents, and become like a good AI generalist. Okay, so this session, we will try to make you a very good prompter. And my promise is that I will show you some techniques 99% people of you would not have seen. Okay, that's a challenge I'm giving myself. All right, and let me check in with you after I show whether you knew this or were you aware of this overall. Okay, and we will simplify the prompting local AI and make you take your first step towards becoming an AI generalist. Now, parts of this might feel a little bit overwhelming, not too much of overwhelming, but please understand that learning comes from discomfort. Okay, if you are not uncomfortable with what you're learning, you haven't learned yet. All right, so when LLMs generate text, you have to use them effectively for your use case or business. You need context to align with your goals. Okay, so you need to put context into prompts. All right, so we will try to now make how to best use of LLM overall. And for that, we will learn how do you prompt really well. Okay, so there are two blueprints that we are going to focus on. One is meta prompting. That is, how do you write a prompt that can generate other prompts? All right, so that is the concept of meta prompting. Like, how do you create this master prompt that can create other prompts? And other is CoStar framework. Okay, the CoStar framework is a way to structure your prompt in such a way that you are giving the context in a structured manner to the LLM so that it understands what is it that you're trying to do. So context means how do you set the scene, the background information, etc. Objective is what exactly does the AI achieve? Steps means how do you break down the task? How do you force reasoning? So how do you break down the particular task? Tools means any tools or data or formats that AI should use. Actions is the expected output style or format. Reflection is like the self-check or iteration loop where you're asking AI to check its work and make any adjustments it requires. Okay, so that is the CoStar framework. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this is itself so confusing. What does context mean? What does objective mean? How do I take the problem statement that I have in my head and structure it into a prompt like this? Okay, so that is the first challenge we will overcome. So here is a workflow that you can work with. And by the way, one more thing, you are not in this accelerator program to learn tools. I've seen some questions like, tell me the tools you are going to teach me, tell me the tools that you're going to learn. Yes, we are going to learn tools, but learning tool is not the objective. You are going to learn frameworks. Tomorrow, if the tool dies and the tool is no longer available in the world out there, I don't want you to be paralyzed. I want you to embrace that tool and replace it with another tool that can work. And you have to have a framework to work with things. Framework always much greater than tools, and that is how I typically work. So what I'll do is I will show you a quick hack to how you can create your first CoStar prompt. So for that, what I'll do, I will take a screenshot of this CoStar framework, the slide that I have got available. I have taken a quick screenshot. Now, I will use the LLM itself for me to help create a good CoStar prompt. All right, let me show you how that process goes. All right. So first, what I'll do is I can go to any LLM that I want. I can go to any LLM. For now, I will go to ChatGPT because I want to show you that irrespective of the prompt that you're working with, this framework works. You can go to Gemini, you can go to ChatGPT, you can go to DeepSeek, you can go to Kimi K2, you can go to Alpha Horizon. Okay, I know that I'm telling some names that you might not have heard, but basically what I'm trying to say is irrespective of the platform, this would work. So first, let me attach the screenshot that we have just taken. So I am attaching the screenshot. I have attached a screenshot of this. And now I say, the use case I want to build this prompt for is like building a standard operating procedure for customer success. And that could be at any enterprise or company out there. Every company has customer success. I don't think any company exists without customer success, be it B2B or B2C. So it's relatable to all. So how do I build a standard operating procedure for customer success? All right. So I will take an example of something like an e-commerce and I will try to build that prompt right in front of you. And always a good thing to do is you can, if you are using ChatGPT and you have the paid subscription, you can go for the thinking model because when you're trying to build prompts, a thinking model works better. Even if you don't have access to it, it is okay. It is decent to work with even without that. But since I have the access, I will show it with the thinking model. And now here we go. Hey, I want to actually make a prompt using the CoStar framework, and I have given you the screenshot of the features of this CoStar framework. I am trying to create a standard operating procedure for customer success teams in a e-commerce company like Amazon, but not at that scale. I would say this is an e-commerce company having 1,000 employees at the most and handling maybe 20,000 to 30,000 orders in a month. So for this company, I would love to build a standard operating procedure for their customer success teams. Looking at that, can you help me build a prompt in the CoStar framework? Ask me any clarifying questions that you feel I should answer. Okay. So what I have done is I have used Whisperflow over here to dictate what I want. And I have put it here. And now I will allow it to build it out. So I given the screenshot. I told the use case for which I want to build the CoStar framework. And now I'm going to build it out. So when it is thinking, it takes a bit of a time. We should allow it. But in case you are in a hurry, you can skip it overall. So just a quick check, everyone. Everybody following so far? Pace is good, accent is good, voice is good, all good? Cool, awesome. There you go. We have a copy paste ready CoStar prompt. So first you have C for context, where you say you are an operations architect specializing in e-commerce success. Design a pragmatic, scalable SOP for a mid-size company with 20 to 30K orders per month overall. Then company specifics, we will leave it, assume sensible defaults. Okay. Then objective is minimize response time, maximize CSAT, etc. Steps, map end-to-end contact reasons and volumes. Design SLAs, draft playbooks by top 20 intents. Now, I don't even know what this WI, SMO, etc., all of it is, but I assume that it has taken from its background knowledge of, a company like Amazon. Escalation matrix, standardized macros, etc. And the tools assume the CRM, which CRM we are using, which e-commerce we are using, what telephony tool we are using, what messaging we are using, right, etc. And the actions use tables, short numbered lists, etc. for any kind of matrices. Then actions, org and RACI rules like roles, training, workforce, escalation owners, etc. And reflection before finalizing. Now, this is very, very important. Before finalizing, does each playbook achieve FCR when possible? When specify a clear response time? Are SLAs feasible? Are policies consistent? Are metrics actionable? Are macros or templates brand safe, localized, and accessible? Okay, so I have this. So now I will copy this complete prompt in front of me. Okay, I can copy this prompt and overall. So it has asked me some questions. Okay, and I can answer these questions as required. But for the purpose of today's demonstration, I just want to show you that these questions answering becomes important, but I'll just take the prompt and try to use it wherever required. So I open a new chat. I put in the prompt and I will say make suitable assumptions and proceed. All right. And I am going to run this prompt. So it is going to create the SOP document also for me using this CoStar prompt where I have given a bunch of requirements. Okay. So it is giving me the SOP, the context details, whichever I want to kind of give overall, current tech stack, all the SLAs, all that. So it's giving me the roles, etc., and a bunch of information for me. All right. Now, you might think, okay, this is what we are going to learn today. This is just the warm up. This is the basic thing that we are going to learn because you are now going to become AIGs. Okay. AIGs have a different way of approaching the same problem. Okay, so as AIGs, you should be comfortable working in the playgrounds and not just working on the front end. So before I go in and build stuff for you, let me first go through some fundamentals and explain some concepts. Because for the next part that I'm going to show, you will need to understand a few concepts overall. Quick recap of what I have done. I have taken the screenshot of the CoStar framework. I gave a basic prompt saying that convert this prompt into the CoStar framework. It asked me some follow-up questions that I need to answer. I said, make suitable assumptions and build me the standard operating procedure. And as I look here, a very good standard operating procedure is getting built as I speak. Okay, ASCII swim lane. Okay, this even it is a very specific thing for e-commerce companies. It picked that up. Okay, and is actually taking the routing rules of P0. It should go to the escalations desk. Payments is L2 payments, etc. And all that. Top 20 playbooks condensed. Like if it is where is my order, trigger order status, verify order number, investigate, then you go into the macro, then go into the logistics. If delay greater than 48 hours, promise update by EOD today or deliver by so and so date. So that is the where is my order playbook. Delivery failed, this is the playbook. Return or exchange, this is the playbook. Refund, this is the playbook. Damage, this is the playbook. You have got playbooks for multiple things and it is continuously built overall. Now, if you have more context about your enterprise and company, you can give it much more information and it will build a SOP that will be much suitable for what you are working with. And you can say that maybe I don't, as an industry, I don't provide partial refund. I only do full refund or no refund. You can give that information back and it will set it up. Okay, it is still not done. It is building even more, things overall with respect to returns, refunds, fraud and abuse controls. It is like a complete customer success department that is being built right in front of you. All right. So now what we are going to do is we are going to flip the story. Okay. And we are going to build a very similar thing, but in the back end. Okay. So we are going to check out what are called playgrounds, which is a much more powerful way to interact with your large language models. Okay. So for understanding a few of those, let me first give you some understanding of the concepts that we have to learn. And I'm coming to my favorite whiteboarding, which I love to kind of draw and show you concepts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you things on Playground. Okay, so I am going to show you things first on OpenAI Playground. So what is a playground? A playground is a way where you can test prompts more rigorously. You can test prompts more rigorously, and you can also, with more rigor as you test prompts, you can give much more control over how your prompt is working. So we will test that. Before that, we need to understand some technical concepts. And as always, I will try to show, teach you these technical concepts via non-technical examples. So let us try to understand two things. One is API. I explained API before in some of the sessions that you would have attended before during your masterminds, but I'll repeat this because I'm going to go deeper into API. And then I'll make you understand the concept of webhook. Okay, these are technical concepts that a lot of software folks live by. Now I am going to expose these concepts to all the non-technical folks here on the call so that you understand this easily. So to understand these two concepts, let us change our setting to something called the post office. Okay. So post office. So for India, it is the Indian Post Office. For US, it is the United States Postal Service that we are going to now understand the concept of API and webhooks. Okay. So suppose you have a package that you need to send somewhere across the world or across the street or whatever. Okay. So you go to the post office. Now a post office has multiple counters. So there is a counter one which specializes in domestic packages. So you want to send something within the country, you will have to work with the counter one. Then there'll be, say, counter two, which will work on international packages. So anything like international shipping, etc., you will work on counter two. All right. Then I might go to counter three, which is for other services like buying a postcard, buying an envelope, buying stamps, etc. All of the things you could keep doing that in counter three. So in a post office, you have got different counters for different types of transactions. Similarly, for API, you have different types of APIs to do different kinds of work. For example, if you are looking at, say, Zomato, right? For kind of placing your order, there is one kind of API. For kind of telling you the order status, there is another kind of API. And to kind of tell you anything with respect to your coupons or etc., there is another kind of API. So there are multiple types of APIs for multiple types of tasks. Okay, think of those as counters. Now, you have given your package. Let us say you are shipping this package somewhere, and then you are attaching the stamps. Now, there are multiple conditions that could happen. Number one, your package is packed properly, the stamps are fixed correctly, everything is super good about the same. They will say package accepted, Okay, we will ship it. All right, good to go. Then what could happen? Then they will say, you know what? The package is feeling very suspicious. There is some suspicious package that is there overall, and I am not sure. So you are forbidden to send this package. Prove it to us or do something else, etc. You are forbidden to send this package. Okay, I know for sure a lot of you people would have taken some packages and they were not sent overall. Other case, what could happen is you are trying to ship to a company where the service is not there to ship particularly to that country, say some very forsaken island somewhere where people cannot reach. So that would be again a forbidden case. Then another case is unauthorized. That means you have given the package, but your stamps, etc., are out of order. You put the wrong stamps, you put the wrong things, etc. Okay, so now you have multiple statuses of your service of the post office. One case, everything is good, everything is fine, it's working perfectly. One case, it is saying, no, I won't send this package because of so and so reasons. Another case, it says, I want to send this package, but there is some problem. Can you rectify the address and send it again? So it gives you another chance to send the package overall. Okay. Now, what would happen here is sometimes I want to collect a passport, a very important document. So when you receive important documents on post, the receiver, even though you are the receiver and you want to collect it, they will ask you, can you give me an ID proof or authorization so that I know you are the real intended recipient for this package. So you furnish some kind of identity proof. So that case is where you are giving an authorization, and that authorization typically happens in applications via API key. Okay, API key is like an ID card which says that, hey, I am the right recipient for this package you are trying to send me. All right. So think of this post office where you have multiple counters. In the counters, you're trying to send packages. So it is always a mix. You are giving a request that I want to send this package, and then you get a response saying that, hey, I can send this package, everything is good, or hey, I'm forbidden, I cannot send this package, or three, you can do some changes, and then maybe I will re-attempt sending the package. Then another thing would happen is return to sender. I send the package, but there is nobody there to receive. So the package again comes back to me. It bounces back. All right. Now think of your API exactly like this. When everything is super good, your API will send your information across and it is all good, and it will say status all okay, and you will call the status as some number like 200. Okay, there are multiple numbers for the statuses, but you can kind of ignore that part. Okay, then in case of forbidden, if you are something like forbidden, etc., it will say something like 403 saying forbidden. If something happens like you are not finding something, it will say 404 or address not found. All right. So, folks, did you ever see it? Did you ever, when you're working on laptop, see this 404 address not found, 403 forbidden, etc. whenever you are working? Right? Did you see this all through? Now, this is a way for you to understand all of this in a very simple manner. Okay, so now that you understand how your APIs are, what your statuses are, and you know that you need an API key to get the authorization, etc. Now the next part is to understand, once I am sending the package and I'm expecting a package. Okay, I am expecting some package overall. Okay, so let us say I am, sorry. Let us say I am expecting a package. I am kind of, wait, I think I'll increase the font. So let us say I am expecting a package. Okay. There are two scenarios in which I am trying to expect the package. Scenario one, every 5 minutes, I am opening the door and checking has the package arrived. Okay, the package has not arrived. I go back and sit. Again, after 5 minutes, okay, I say, has the package arrived? Not yet. So every 5 minutes, think of you opening the door and checking if the package has arrived. Okay, and typically it is sit in your mailbox or near your door. It is a very inconvenient way and very inefficient because every time you're opening your door and checking is the package arrived, is the package arrived, is the package arrived, etc. Okay, but there is a scenario too, which is even simpler for us. In this, what happens is when the person delivers the package, they ring your doorbell saying that the package has been delivered. Okay, as soon as you hear the doorbell, you know that something is at the door, you rush to the door, open, and you find the package waiting for you. All right. Now, in the first case, that is the way APIs typically check, wherein you keep checking every 5 minutes whether, okay, you keep checking every 5 minutes whether your package has arrived or not. Okay, that is the way API works. But there is a new way to kind of do the stuff, which is by webhook, wherein in webhook, the advantage is it is like the doorbell. Okay, so the person rings the doorbell and indicates to you that, you know what, I have this webhook I can put. All right. So very, very important for you to understand that when you are using APIs, you have to check every 5 minutes. And if you are using a webhook, you are having a doorbell. Okay, folks, do you now understand the difference between a webhook and API? Webhook is like a fish hook that you are holding to, and API is like something you are waiting for. All right, let me give you one more example so that there is absolutely no confusion with respect to API and webhook. And that is, let us assume you are waiting for dinner and your spouse is cooking in the kitchen. Okay, and I'm giving a very gender neutral example. Anybody could be cooking. Okay, your spouse is cooking in the kitchen. Every 5 minutes, you're going and say, is the dinner done? Is the dinner done? Is the dinner done? Is the dinner done? All right. When you do that, either you get an answer or you get a spatula flying at you. All right. The other case is your spouse tells you, don't irritate me, sit at a corner. Okay. When the dinner is done, I will tell you, I will signal, you come and collect the dinner. That is what a webhook does. So when an API call is made, if you were to check if I received the response or not, typical ways to keep checking if I'm getting the response or not. But a webhook kind of works in a way that it will indicate that I am sending something, receive it, and process it overall. That is how a webhook works. All right. Now, API and webhooks are important concepts as you learn automation and a bunch of other topics down the road. And that's why we are introducing these concepts right now. Plus, when you are working with API, right? When you're doing image generation, you will look at API. And especially when you're working on Open AI Playground, you are actually incurring API costs. Okay, so first step, what we'll do is we will try to understand how do I set up this API and what is this API key that everybody talks about. Okay, so API key is like an authorization which tells that you are the legit user who is invoking this particular command. Okay, some cases API keys are not required, but some cases API keys are required to ensure that you are authorizing the right call. So for API key, whenever you are trying to generate any kind of API key, don't get any kind of confused or worry about how do I do this. Go to Perplexity, okay, and give this prompt. I am a completely non-technical person who is trying to create an API key in OpenAI for the very first time. Can you give me a step-by-step process to generate an API key? All right. So I'll ask it to kind of generate a step-by-step process. All right. And then I ask my Perplexity. So it will give you the step-by-step guide. You just follow those steps and your API key would be ready. So let me just look at the steps and guide you as to how these API keys are. Okay, I think today it's a little bit stuck. It's okay. Let us give it some time. But this is how you, whenever you are stuck, right, lean on AI to help you out. It is pretty good. Perplexity is pretty good in giving you the answers any place you are stuck. Say non-technical person, because then it will understand the context that you are a non-technical person, and then try to give you the answer basis that. Okay, it shouldn't take this long. Okay. Anyways, AI is weird. Sometimes errors might happen. Okay, now it's picked it up. Great. Okay, so let me see the instructions and then I want to go step by step and show you those instructions. Okay, first is create your OpenAI account. By the way, the OpenAI platform or playground is very different from ChatGPT. ChatGPT is one, OpenAI is another. Okay, just because you have a ChatGPT subscription, it doesn't mean you have the API key or you have the API credits. Both are separate products. Okay, that is the first thing you'll have to understand. So what I'll do is I will go to platform.openai.com. Okay. And let me go to platform.openai.com. All right. So here, typically, I have already signed in, but I'll just log out and come back in so as to show you this. So here, if I want, I will, when I go to platform.openai.com, it will ask me to log in. So I will have to log in with any of the accounts that are available. So if I don't have a particular account overall, right, I will have to sign up on OpenAI. Usually your ChatGPT sign up would suffice, but assume that these are different accounts. Okay, now you are at a place where you have multiple things over here, which might confuse you or even, put you into a lot of spin. So don't worry, go to the search and search for API keys. Okay, click API keys. All right. And here you've got a bunch of API keys. You can say create a new secret key and you can create your API key. And that API key, you can use it in any of your automations or for building products, etc., that you're going to see in the coming sessions. So this is how to build your API keys. But what we are here to do is something different. You have to go to what is called the dashboard so that we can work with our prompts. Okay, so I can work with a lot of prompts and I can create a prompt and work with the prompts overall. And here I will show you why this is even more powerful. So I can say create something and I can create a new prompt and test out multiple things over here. All right. So we are now graduating from the simple ChatGPT interface, which anybody can use, to the playground interface, which is called the playground interface, where only a few people can use. Now, what is the power of playground? Look at this. Okay, here I have these lot of controls that I have, which I can set the controls to ensure that my prompt is even more refined. I don't have these controls when I'm giving the prompt on ChatGPT. I have these controls when I'm giving this prompt in the playground. Okay, so for the text format, it is saying text. I can work with text. Reasoning effort, I can say it's a simple task, I will say low reasoning effort. If it is the other thing, it's a medium reasoning effort or a high reasoning effort, where based on what I want to do. Currently, I am using GPT-5. I can select whichever model that I want. So when I select a model, it will consume what are called API credits. So how are these API credits costed? How do I understand that? Okay, again, let us go to Perplexity and understand. How is my OpenAI credits deducted? Okay, I can say I am a non-tech. Can you explain in simple terms? You might be wondering, why is Dilip doing this? Why can't he tell the answer himself? Because as AIGs, I want to empower you to think. And if you're stuck, I also want you to probe and ask questions in this manner. And so you can use it like this. For example, look at this. It is saying that the open AI credits work like a prepaid phone card or gift card where you buy credits upfront. So you'll have to say purchase $5, you have credits worth $5. Okay, so how are those $5 used? Okay, it charges you on tokens. Okay, the billing things is you purchase credits in advance, which is minimum $5. Every API call first deducts from your prepaid credits. If you use up all your credits, then any additional usage gets charged to the credit card. Okay, so how it works is it has a pricing that it works with. All right, so let us check the pricing of OpenAI API. Pricing of OpenAI API, and let us look at GPT-5's pricing. Okay, so here it goes. GPT-5 is saying $1.25 per million token. One token is 0.75 words. Okay, one token equal to 0.75 words. So that is how you should count. So how many hour words are there in your prompt? That is the price it will charge. So it will, if your prompt has say 20 words, okay, so then you can calculate how many tokens it has come, and basis that you know how much charge it has taken. Okay, then output, the output that you get, it is saying $10 per 1 million tokens. So based on the output, so if your output is very verbose, okay, your output is super verbose, you will incur more cost. Okay, so everybody, till now clear how APIs are costed, or how APIs are costing happens, and how do you create your API key, and what is it that we are trying to do. Okay, now let me also invoke one more thing. There are especially a few things I'm not going to explain. Okay, and that is by design, because we are following the learning on demand principle, wherein I will only teach you what is needed. I am not going to teach you these additional concepts like what is cached input, etc., and all that. That is complex, that can come later. First session. So what we are going to do is we are going to just understand the basics as much as needed over here. Okay, so quick recap. We how to create API key. You can create API key by going to OpenAI Playground, sign up for your account, and you'll have to recharge at least $5 for it to work, and you can make it work like that. All right. And why are we using Playground? Because it can do pretty cool things. Here, I can check multiple things. Like I can say verbosity means how much output should come. I can say low, medium, or high based on how I want it overall. I can ask it to go for high reasoning effort or low reasoning effort. I can have more control. Okay. Even if I want, I can add some variables, etc. But now I am in a conundrum. Okay, let me explain what the conundrum is. There in the front, I just gave a single prompt and things worked. But here suddenly it is saying there is a developer message and a user message. There is a developer or system prompt and a user prompt. How do I go about this? How do I build this out? Let us spend some time to understand this. So first, let us understand system prompt and user prompt. And for that, let us go back to the whiteboard. All right, so let me just delete these portions. All right. So for understanding system prompt and user prompt, let me take the example of Iron Man, the movie. Okay. So the actor who played Iron Man is Robert Downey Jr. or RDJ. Okay, let us call him RDJ. Now the director of Iron Man, John, came to RDJ and explained him his character. Okay, he explained RDJ the character of Iron Man, where he said he's a self-absorbed billionaire, a completely self-absorbed billionaire who is very, very, who uses humor as his shield whenever he faces emotional situations. Okay, so that is the character. That is the character of RDJ Iron Man. Now, while filming Iron Man, there are multiple scenes. There is one scene where Iron Man is caught by terrorists and he has to make a weapon. Okay. There is one scene where Iron Man is flying for the first time. There is another scene where he is in front of reporters who are asking him, who is Iron Man, etc. Okay. Now, in this scene, based on the construct of the scene, this Iron Man will act slightly differently. Okay. Here he will fight them. Here he will be scared, but somehow tries to balance himself. Here he just decides and comes out and says, you know what, I am Iron Man. Okay, I hope I didn't spoil for anybody. It's well-known storyline overall. Okay, but the character of Iron Man remains the same throughout. Okay, the RDJ's Iron Man character remains the same across the scene while the actions change. So think of system prompt as character and actions. All right. Character is system prompt, which is the thing that does not change across the use cases that you're trying to do. Suppose you are trying to do the SOP of customer success. This would be the system prompt, which is the persona of the LLM. And the user prompt is the actions where you give specific conditions, specific things overall, and where you explain what is called the user prompt. And the system prompt is also called developer prompt also. So you call it system prompt, you call it developer prompt, you call it user prompt. There are multiple ways to explain the same thing. All right. So you have this system prompt and user prompt. So if you are worried, anytime confused about system prompt and user prompt, system prompt is the character of the person in a movie, which is same throughout the movie. User prompt is based on the variable, and the variable is the scene the person is acting. In one scene, he fights. In one scene, he cries. In one scene, he laughs. In one scene, he is humorous. But his character does not change. Character remains the same as described. All right, folks, do you understand the difference between system prompt and user prompt? Yes? Clear? System prompt and user prompt? All right. So you have already learned a bunch of technical things and then you will be able to use it. Okay. So now I will take this system prompt and user prompt and actually try to understand it from our same SOP. So I will go back to the history. I'll go back to the place where I had the SOP prompt creation that was there. Now I will ask it this very simply. I'm not going to break my head and say, how do I make the system prompt and how do I make the user prompt? I will ask ChatGPT only to tell me. For the above CoStar prompt that you have built, can you break it up into system prompt and user prompt so that I can use it in the open AI playground? All right. So I'm asking it to break it into system prompt and user prompt. You don't have to break your head. The platform, any LLM can take care of you for that part. Okay, so you are creating system and user prompts right now. Okay, so here is a system prompt which is telling, so you are an operations architect where specializing in e-commerce success, use the CoStar approach to produce a pragmatic SOP, etc. So let it build it out. ChatGPT is slightly slower today. It is not such slow. It is like watching everything in 0.25x, but can't help it. Okay, so system prompt is something that won't change anywhere. User prompt is something where you are giving some variables overall. Okay, so there are some variables that you are trying to give. Okay, so let me put the system prompt. So this part, which is a system prompt, I can copy, which will not change at all. Okay, so I can go to the prompt and I can put it over here. Okay, don't worry about the formatting. The LLM is intelligent enough to figure out what is it that you have put. So this is the system prompt part, and this prompt will not change. Okay, then you have the user prompt. Okay, so let me go to the user prompt, and I will just take only this part because I have to fill the details. You can actually take the complete thing and paste it over there. All right. So I will just take a small portion of the user prompt. Okay. And then I will pick this part. Okay. So now here, brand and category mix. What is the brand and category mix overall? I would say skincare. Okay, primary market, I will check the primary market to be Asia. Asia is a primary market. Monthly orders, I will say 20 to 30K. I will say something like MO. All right. Now here it is red. What I do is I have to actually add the variables here. All right. So what are my variables? My variables are something like, so I will say category, then I will say market, and I will say MO for now. Just put MO for now. Then I'll say variables. I will say category. Then I will say MO, and I'll say market. Okay, so now I have these variables which I have addressed. So now this prompt can become a multi-usable prompt wherein I can keep adding the values and make it work for different scenarios. So if you see on the right-hand side, I can say category. I will say category as skincare. Then monthly orders 20K, monthly orders. Market is Asia. Okay, and then I can say build, give me SOP. Okay, very simple. I can do, and I can say enter. So along with those variables that I have given, it is going to build it out. Again, for those of you folks who are kind of lost here, not able to understand, don't worry. I will recap this process. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you were trying to build a reusable prompt, right, wherein you wanted, like, suppose if you were doing it in ChatGPT, for every category, for every monthly order, for every market, you have to keep changing stuff. Okay, but if you are using in Playground, you can build it the way that you want. Okay, so now it is thinking through how it has to build, and it is now building the SOP overall. Suppose you want your SOP to have lesser number of words, you can put your verbosity to be lesser. Okay, reasoning, if you want, you can make it even lesser. So you can do how much ever you want overall. And the true usage of this prompt will be when you are trying to work with automations. Okay, so when you learn automations, you will know how this prompt will exactly be applied. But I hope you have understood the power of working with such prompts, right? Folks, following so far, at least basic direction, you know why this is powerful than ChatGPT? Yeah? Awesome. All right. So this is how you work with a open AI playground to build some prompts. And you understood what is system prompt and user prompt. System prompt is a character, user prompt is the action, and user prompt is typically the place where you put variables. So once you have variables, you can understand how those things are and what is happening over here. All right. So now we will shift gears and we will build something super cool, which is how can you build your own prompt designer? Okay. How can you build your own prompt designer? That means a prompt that can generate other prompts. How can you build your own prompt designer? That's what we are going to learn today. And for that, let me explain one principle, what is called prompt chaining. What is prompt chaining? What is this fancy term says? It is like, don't confuse the LLM with too many instructions. Break down your instructions into 2 to 3 prompts and keep giving one prompt at a time. That's it. That's all prompt chaining is. A fancy term for a very simple thing, which is to take your prompt, break it up into smaller prompts and keep sending it up. Because then the LLM doesn't get overwhelmed or confused as to what needs to be built, and it will build it in a straightforward manner. Okay, so for this, what I'll do is I'm going to actually build my meta prompt or the prompt designer step by step. So how do I do that? I have a great hack to do this where I will find tutorials which tell me how to write prompts. Okay, so now who is this person who has written this tutorial on how to write prompts? Great question. Myself, I'm telling myself. Okay, sorry about that. So I will say Google prompt engineering guide. Okay, so there is a Google prompt engineering guide. Okay, this is prompting 101. There is one more. Where is this new prompt engineering? Yeah, this one. Lee Bonstra has written a 59-page article on how to create great prompts. Then GPT-5, when it released, it gave a prompting guide. Okay, Anthropic has a prompting guide. Okay, different people have published different prompting guides. So now I'm going to use a workflow with prompt chaining step by step in a systematic manner to develop this prompt designer or the meta prompt. For that, I am now shifting gear from OpenAI Playground to Google AI Studio. Why I'm going to use Google AI Studio, I'm going to come to it very soon. But for now, bear with me and you use Google AI Studio. So Google AI Studio, you can use it freely also. But there is a problem. I'll come to it once I explain how to make the prompt. There is one more concept I will teach you after I create the prompt of this. Okay, so I have chat. Now what I'll do is very simple. I am going to attach the file, which is the Google Prompt Engineering Guide. Okay, the Google's Prompt Engineering Guide that I had just shown, I have downloaded it on the system. Don't worry, in the post reads, I will share those also with you. I go to the documents and I have attached the Google Prompt Engineering Guide right now. And the model I am using is Gemini 2.5 Pro because this is a thinking model. I need a super thinking model over here. All right. And now I'm going to save this. I am a non-technical person who is trying to build a prompt designer or a meta prompt so that this meta prompt will take as input any use case and then it will try to generate a prompt that works for that use case. Now I have given to you the Google prompt engineering white paper. Go through the prompt engineering white paper along with your existing knowledge and use the best guidelines on how to create a prompt and make for me this super strong meta prompt that I can use across Chat GPT, across Claude, or across Gemini. Any LLM doesn't matter. It should be able to give me a reusable prompt anywhere. Make suitable assumptions wherever possible. Okay, I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just telling it. I attach the guide, build me a prompt designer, and I'm going to run it. Okay, so I have asked it to build a prompt designer, and I have attached the prompt engineering guide. Now the Google's LLM, right, Gemini 2.5 Pro, will start reading this prompt engineering paper by itself, picks up the core principles of how to write a very, very good prompt, and then craft the meta prompt that will be usable for us. Okay. So now it is building the super strong meta prompter. Okay, so let it build it. There you go. So it is saying that this is the meta prompt where you are a world-class AI prompt engineer. Your sole purpose is to take a user's goal and transform it into a detailed, effective, and reusable prompt for another LLM. You must design the prompt based on the established best practices, ensuring clarity, context, and a structured output. This is where you define your goal. Then go for persona, clear task and objective, context, examples, detailed output instructions, etc., etc., all that. Okay, so far, so good. Now comes the kicker. I am not satisfied with just Google's principles because I know GPT-5 folks are also very good and they can also use it overall. But the problem is their guide is over here as form of a URL, and I want to kind of use this information to further enhance my prompt. Okay, because I need this to further enhance my prompt, what I will do is this. I will copy this URL, GPT-5 prompting guide, and what I'll do is I will paste the URL over here. Okay, and here on the right hand side, there is this button called URL context. Okay, there is this button called URL context, which if I select, right, the Google underneath has a tool to scrape content of URLs. Okay, you don't have to copy paste content from URL. Google's AI Studio's URL context can scrape the content itself. And that is why, because I have some URLs which I want to use for making this prompt, that is the reason why I'm using Google AI Studio instead of OpenAI Playground. OpenAI Playground currently doesn't have this URL context yet. Okay, so then I check this and I'll say, here is a prompting guide built by the folks at OpenAI. Can you take the best principles out of this and incorporate it into the prompt designer and make it even more powerful? Okay, so I have given this, my URL context is on. So this URL context tool will now scrape this content, read through this content, and try to understand. So it will see synthesizing guide insights, implementing delimiters. So it is looking at the browse tool to analyze the GPT-5 prompting guide. It is extracting the core principles. So it is now refining the framework, incorporating those guide findings, and building this prompt. Okay, so now it is trying to browse the provided URL based on the context. Several powerful actionable principles are present, and now it is adding those principles overall. Okay, what makes this version even more powerful? It is explaining that there is a chain of thought principle that is being used. There is a grounding principle that is being used. There is a self-critique and refinement principle that is being used. You don't have to worry about what all is this. The prompt designer will take care. Okay, so this is good. Now I have a lot of prompts pages that I have kind of copied from, say, Anthropic. So I will copy those URLs here. Okay. And I will say, here are few more guidelines from the folks of Anthropic who have published their prompt engineering principles. Read these prompt engineering principles and make the the meta prompt even stronger. Okay. And I will run this. Now the good part about, so the why I'm going in, like some people might wonder, why don't I give all resource at once? At that point in time, it will get confused and it will give me a hodgepodge of a prompt. This is the prompt chaining framework where I'm giving one resource at a time so that I can build a great and powerful prompt. Okay, super strong prompt version 3. So where it is giving me the complete context, data, etc., all that, post prompt guidance. And now it is saying that this final version is very, very strong. Okay, so far so good. Now what I'll say is, go back to each of the prompting guides that I have given, double check the work, and ensure that the prompt you have built is super strong and comprehensive that even a non-technical person like me can use it. So the last step over here is where I'm asking it to double check its work. Very, very important step, especially when working with reasoning models. This always gives like a 10 to 20% uplift in performance. So now refining the approach, enhancing the prompt strategy, revising for the completeness, verifying prompt effectiveness. So it is now going through everything and trying to build it out. Absolutely. Right. So it is saying 3-step guide, etc. It is setting all the things completely. So the final verified prompt is here. All right. So now that I have my final prompt, how do I use this prompt? So I have this prompt designer. Okay. I can copy this prompt designer and I can use in any model. So I can, I can say, I can go to Gemini or I'll go to Claude only because I want to show that I can use it in any other place also. Go to Claude. Okay. On Claude, I will paste this particular prompt completely. And now here is where I need to set my user goal. Okay, what is my user goal? I won't reinvent the wheel. I will go back to the CoStar prompting framework and I will copy this to just compare how my prompt framework is doing. Paste it. So far, so good. And one thing I will just do is I will make extended thinking on. Typically, I've seen that when you put extended thinking on for your prompt generation, it is better. Okay. And there you go. I have now asked it to build me the prompt. So it is asking me a bunch of questions. So I will provide those details. Okay. So first thing it is, I have to give the screenshot of I have to give the screenshot of the CoStar framework. So let me give it the screenshot. I have given the screenshot of the CoStar framework. For the rest of the stuff, make suitable assumptions and build out the prompt. Exactly the same way as I have kind of given, I have done that. Fingers crossed. Okay, so it is building. You are an expert customer success operations consultant with 15 plus years of experience. So from the meta prompt guidelines, it has figured out that this is a very good way to make it up. So let it build it out, and then I will use Claude only to kind of test this out. It is building some example responses also. Pretty good. Okay. Copy this as is. Go to a new chat, and there you go. Okay. So as it is done, right? Let me recap the complete process in case you missed it. All right. So I will say make suitable assumptions and build the SOP. Okay, so what I have done, we'll go to Google AI Studio. Step one, I added the Google's prompt engineering guide and asked it to build a meta prompt with the principles over there. Next, I added the GPT-5 guide link, and I added URL context and then improved the prompt further. Then I added Anthropic URLs and asked it to improve it even further so that it can work across ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini. Then what I did was I asked it to revisit it and look at everything and refine itself, which it has done over here. Then I went to Claude and started building the complete prompt overall. Okay, so now it has built out the prompt with the procedure, the structure, the reference guide, key SLAs, detailed procedures, etc. It is still building overall. I think both are similar in terms of how it has built, right? And with your prompt designer also, right? The way you have built this prompt designer, you can build it out. Okay, if you are overwhelmed, don't worry. The recording will be available to you. The post reads will be available to you. You can check it out and do this process yourself. And trust me, you will build a very great prompt designer that would work for you. And you won't have to worry about how do I build this prompt out. You already have a ready-made prompt designer to build this prompt out in the way that you want. All right. Now, folks, I want to quickly check in with you. All right. Is this something that you have learned before? Is this something that you have seen before? Is this something that you think a lot of people would have seen? Okay. So I hope this was, useful to all of you. Okay. For those of you who are little bit behind and struggling to kind of understand this, don't worry. Once you recap and revise this stuff, it will be super easy to understand. The reason is we want to show you some pretty advanced techniques and make you like true AIGs. That's why we are going slightly detailed, but I'm trying to be as slow as possible, giving you the analogies, etc., so that you understand this process as much as possible. All right. So great. So now that we understand this part, let us shift gears and try to understand a newer concept, and then we will go into more tools. All right. So again, go back to the whiteboard. One of the problems, right? One of the problems that any kind of LLM has is what is called the problem of hallucinations. Okay, so when you are working with LLMs, you have the problem of hallucinations, wherein you typically are, you are working with some data and it gives you something completely wrong. It makes up information through and through. And it is always important to avoid hallucinations. So, hallucinations are something that you want to avoid. The other problem that you might have with the other LLMs is privacy concerns, That means if you are working with some data which is super sensitive and you are little scared of working with a LLM which is on the internet, you want to kind of have a private LLM which does not work with the internet and all your data is within your own system. Okay, so that is the two things that you want to now overcome. One is the problem of hallucinations, where you want to avoid hallucinations. Other is the problem of privacy, wherein you want to have a private LLM and the data is within your system. We will solve both the problems in today's session. The first, we will work with privacy, which we will understand the concept of local LLMs. Okay, how can you work with local language models? So one thing, these local language models are typically open source models. That open source does not mean free. Okay, open source is not a free model. There are a lot of resources spent by companies to make these models open source, freely available, so that anybody can download and use it on their local system. So it is not free. Never ever make the mistake of going to an open source person and say that open source is free. Open source is not free. There is a cost involved. It is a service to the community that is being done. Okay, very important to have this distinction. So now that we have this local LLMs, let us try to understand what these local language models are. And one place to understand what these models are, that is called Open Router. So I go to openrouter.ai/models. Currently, I see 526 models. You might see some lesser, some more, or something overall. And in these, right, there are some models which are open source, some models which are not. So if you type free, right, these are typically the open source models which are available. Grok 4 Fast is available. Then you have DeepSeek 3.1, DeepSeek R1, right? There are Qwen 3 coder, which is available, etc. All of these models are available for you, free to use. Gemini 2.0 Flash is not open source, but free for usage. Meta Llama 3.3 is open source as well as free for usage. When I say open source, that means you can download these large language models onto your own systems and work with them. All right. So I will show you three tools. Okay. I will show you three tools of how to work with the open source models or the local language models. The first tool is called Misty Studio. Okay, so first tool is called Misty Studio. The previous version is called Misty, but they have deprecated it almost 2 to 3 weeks back. So this is a new version which is called Misty Studio. The second tool is called LM Studio, and the third one is called Olama. Misty Studio, LM Studio, and Olama. These are the three tools that I wanted to show you. Now, you might be thinking, why am I showing three tools for you? There are some particular reasons. Number one, these are very open source tools. These are actually free tools which are available. Misty has a pricing. Olama also has a pricing. I will explain the pricing also. But these tools are easily configurable, but because these tools are free to use, etc., it is not compatible across all the systems of the world. 95% of the systems you will be able to set it up, but there will be 5% who will find some kind of error while working with this. And therefore, to ensure that you are not facing any error, you can actually, I am going to show you these three tools so that at least one of them you can install on your laptop or desktop or system and use it. Olama is the most popular but hardest to use. Okay, LM Studio is fairly popular, easier. Misty Studio is also pretty easy to use. Okay, so you can use Misty Studio or LM Studio or Olama. Okay, I won't recommend you, and pick one of this, whichever you like, and use it. Of all this, the features wise, Misty Studio has got a lot of features which makes it quite powerful. But on the other hand, there are a few systems which cannot install this properly. But LM Studio and Olama are compatible across all operating systems. Mystery Studio, what the problem is, it is having some problem on Windows. It is not for everybody, for few people. Check on Windows. If it is working for you, great. If it is not working, you can use LM Studio or Olama. All right. So we will use Misty Studio, we will use LM Studio, or we will use Olama. All right. Now, there is something I also want to tell you. The problem with local models is they are, kind of restricted by your system size. Okay, so your system RAM and system hard disk are the limitations, especially RAM, hard disk, and GPU. So if you have a normal Windows system, a normal Windows system which is like 8 GB RAM or 16 GB RAM, okay, there are very limited models that you can use locally, and I'm going to explain what those models are. Okay, so let me list out
Is
those
the next tool
models
I'm going to
which
show.
I would
So this is a
recommend
very
all of
fairly
you.
new tool. Okay, I'll first demonstrate the tool to you, and then I will show you a hack on how you build that tool yourself without any trouble. And I'm on the free tier of this particular tool I'm going to show. Okay, don't get overwhelmed. For some people who are feeling this heavy, you are not able to follow exactly everything. Absorb as much as you can. What you're not able to absorb
What's
is okay. You
happening?
can.
Yeah, I think I was shocked hearing my own voice. Anyways, so three platforms, as I mentioned.
All
Number
right, Dilip,
one is, yeah,
sorry to interrupt here. Anyways, we got a little interruption here. Probably a good time to have a quick recap of what we have done. And we can take like a 5 to 6 minute break post the recap. How does that sound?
sure, works.
All right. So, people, let's have a quick recap because I see some questions on saying that, you know what, I'm a little lost here. That's okay. That's natural to feel because AI is new and you're learning new topics. It's absolutely natural to feel that way. So, Dilip will help you with recap very quickly using his lovely whiteboard, maybe if possible. And then we'll have a 5 minute break and we'll get back. Right? Are we aligned? We can react. You can choose to react with thumbs up. Okay, perfect. There you go. Over to you, Dilip.
Yeah, sorry for that. I got carried away. So thanks for interrupting me. All right. So let me do a quick recap of what we have done so far. First, we understood that we looked at the concepts of API and webhook. That is the concept we tried to learn. A quick understanding between webhook and API. So API is nothing but something like your post office, right? Your United States Postal Service or Indian Postal Office, wherein you are sending packages and you are sending packages through the post office overall. That is the API that we are working with. The difference between API and webhook, API means that if you are receiving a package, every 5 minutes you are checking if the package is available or not, and then you are trying to kind of figure out if the package has come. So every 5 minutes you are opening the door. That is the API usage. Webhook is like once the package is delivered, the person rings the doorbell to indicate that some package has arrived so that you can open the door and collect the package. You don't have to keep waiting at the door. These are important concepts that you will recur. Tomorrow, you will see APIs in action in some way. Then, while you're learning automations, also you will see APIs in action. But if you want to understand the concept of API and webhook, post office example is the one you should look at. Then we learned about system prompt and user prompt. System prompt and user prompt, the concept, if you think about it, it is exactly like, the character and the action in a scene. Character remains consistent through the movie. The action changes scene by scene. That is the system prompt and the user prompt. We learned about co-star prompting. Okay, so we learned about co-star prompting where we had different steps of COSTAR, where C stand for context, where you're giving context as to who you are, what is the persona you want the LLM to take, etc. Then you have objective, where what is it that you want to achieve. Then you have steps, where you force the LLM to do the reasoning so that you get step by step. Then you have tools. What are the tools that you are typically using? What are the steps? What are the output formats, etc. Then you have the reflections. Then you have the reflections that you can use overall. And anybody can help me with A. I just had a brain freeze. A, what is A for?
Application.
Application, absolutely. So then you have A for application that you could put across. Okay, so you have the co-star framework that you could use, and you don't have to remember and think about all of this. Take a screenshot. Okay, actually A is action, I guess, not application. A is action. Okay, now again, you don't see, I didn't remember this because I don't have to remember. I take the screenshot of the definition. Okay, and the screenshot of the definition I'll put into my LLM, and my LLM gives me the prompt that I need to use. All right, then I use the co-star prompting in OpenAI Playground. Okay, you should understand that OpenAI Playground is not equal to ChatGPT. Both are different products. You should understand that way. Both are same company, but different products. Why? Because this has even more refined powers. You can check what is the output, what is the input, and mainly you can set variables. And you can use the system prompt and user prompt to put the prompts over here. So the same prompt, you can get multiple outputs with different use cases. All right, that is the OpenAI Playground. Then we saw Google AI Studio. Okay, in Google AI Studio, we especially looked at URL context. All right, so Google AI Studio, what do you require? You did step one, you put Google prompting guide to get your first meta prompt version. Then you put GPT-5 cookbook or GPT-5 guide, and there you use the URL context so that the Google AI Studio could read the web page. Then you put the Anthropic guide. And then finally, you ask it to reflect and refine. Okay, so you used the Google prompting guide, the GPT-5 guide, the Anthropic guide, and the fourth one you used for reflect and refine, and you have used the context to build your meta prompt. How do you use your meta prompt? You can put the meta prompt in any LLM. Any LLM can be used for the meta prompt, and I used it in Claude, explained the use case, and got the same output, similar output than what we were seeing for co-star prompting. Okay, then we had just understood two problems. One is hallucination and other is privacy. And to undergo privacy, we are going to look at three tools. One is Misty Studio. Then we have LM Studio. And then third, you have Olama. From most powerful and easy to harder, so that irrespective of your OS, one of these things would kind of work. All right. So that's a quick recap of what we have done. We have covered quite a bit of it, and we try to go very analogical and try to show you slowly. In case you are overwhelmed, you have the recording, you have the post reads, which you can check and try to do that. It is not rocket science because it's the first time some of you might be feeling lost or overwhelmed. Try to follow that. You should be able to get on track. All right. So that finishes the recap. Bharadwaj, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dilip. Opening the chat for a little while. People, are we clear with that recap? The chat is open. Great. Okay. Let's take a quick 5-minute break and we will start exactly at 9:20 p.m. IST. All right. Let's start at 9:20 p.m. IST. Team, can we start sharing the screen? Which is roughly 11:50 a.m. in the Eastern Standard Time. So 5 minutes. There you go. The timer is on screen, and we'll see you in another 4 minutes, 43 seconds. All right. Are we back, folks? Can we get started? I think you folks have grabbed your coffee, bio break, everything done. I think we're ready to roll. You can let me know in the chat. I've opened the chat for everyone. Okay, let's go. All right, Dilip, let's get started.
Cool. All right. So let's resume from where we had left. All right. Just a quick recap of the recap. We had learned today API and webhook through the post office analogy. We looked at system prompt and user prompt, where it is character and action. Looked at co-star prompting. We looked at the OpenAI playground. We looked at Google AI Studio. And now what we are trying to do is we want to address hallucination and privacy. First, I will address how you can look at privacy with local language models, language models that you can install locally with, say, Misty Studio, LM Studio, or Olama. And then I will come and address the problem of hallucination. All right. So let me clear the screen. All right. So now what we are going to do is we are going to look at Misty Studio. Okay. And we are going to look at LM Studio and Olama. These are three tools for the same thing, which is the local models, so that you can run models for your data with privacy. Few things you need to understand when you're working with local models. Local models will not be as powerful as, say, your other models, because you are restricted by the RAM and the power of your system. Okay, just to give you an example, Chat GPT, okay, the before version of Chat GPT had 250 billion parameters ish, the model, whereas your and it is into multiple GBs. It is into multiple GBs of data. Whereas if you look at, say, another model, a local model like Gemma, right? It is a 4 billion parameter model, which is around 1 GB in size. Okay. So for a 16 GB RAM or an 8 GB RAM, you can work with 4 to, say, max 8 billion parameter models. 4 billion is safe, 8 billion is a stretch. And this model size will be somewhere between 1 to 3 GB. Beyond this, if you install, okay, beyond this, if you install, it will crash your system. Okay, it is going to completely crash your system if beyond the 4 to 8 billion parameter models that you install. So whenever you are looking at a model, say you are looking at Gemma, go to the 4B model, which is good. Okay, another model you can think of is Quen Coder. That is also a good model, Gemma, Quen, or Llama. My recommendation would be to stick to Gemma. It is a very good model. Even for a small size, it works pretty good. And I would request you to go for a Gemma model overall. Now, where do you get your installation of Misty Studio, etc., and all that? So for that, you go to, say, MSTY, search for it, msty.ai. And here you can look at your Misty Studio that you can download, or launch Studio Web. Now, Studio Web, that means using Misty on the web, it is a paid plan. You will have to pay a few dollars for using that. So therefore, you will have to use a ORM license for doing that. So Misty Studio, if you're trying to use it on the web, not possible. It will ask you for money, but you can download this on any language. So you can download this for Mac OS, Windows, Mac OS, Intel older processors, or Linux. Okay, it will work pretty decently. That is the Misty Studio overall. If you want to look at the pricing features, you can look at the pricing overall, but I would suggest you to just stick to the free plan. It is more than sufficient for your usage. You don't require a paid plan, honestly. All right. So that is it. I have already downloaded and installed Misty Studio. When you install Misty Studio, right, first you will get a screen pop up saying that connect a remote provider or a local provider. Okay. Without any further thinking, just click the local provider and download whatever model it mentions so that your Misty system gets started. Because for Misty to run, it requires at least one model to be installed. So install the local model provider overall. All right. So now that is, once that is set, I will now share my screen. I'll shift sharing my screen to my Misty interface, the Misty Studio interface. Okay, this is the typical Misty Studio interface. All right, now there are multiple sections for that. Section 1 is this, where you can actually choose whichever model you want. Okay, so for example, I have Qwen 3 and Gemma 3 installed locally, so I can use any of the models. So let me choose Qwen 3 model overall, and then I will say something like explain large language models to me like I am 5 years old. All right, and I'll click send. And this will kind of work like my usual chat GPT or any interface, but I am not chatting on the internet. I am working with Gemma installed locally. Because it is installed locally for even 4 billion parameters, it will little bit slow down my system. And you can see it is still moving around, and now slowly it is giving me the output. Okay, but it is giving me all the information that I require. All right. So this is how you can use it. Now there is other features also which I will go through. I will not go to all the features. I will only show you the very important features that you would require to set up your system with your local model. So you typically have to go to the local model. So I will show again this model hub that you see, right? There are other things that are available. Don't get distracted. Go to the model hub. Okay. In the model hub, go to local AI models. And in local AI models, you have a lot of models like featured models, installed models, Olama models, Hugging Face models, etc. I would suggest as a beginner, please straightforward onto featured models. GPT OSS is the best model that is available, but unfortunately, it is a 20 billion parameter model, 14 GB of space. If I install, it is going to crash my system like anything. Okay, Qwen 3 coder also will crash, right? What you should look at is 7 billion parameter model Qwen 3 could work. All right. Other models also would work. So what you should do is, suppose you are looking at Gemma, search for Gemma. In Gemma, there are multiple models. There is a very small embedding model from Gemma. Even if you have 4 GB RAM, embedding Gemma model would work. Then you have Gemma 2, which is 9 billion parameter model. You can go until 3.3 GB, 4.3 billion parameter model, but maximum go up until 7 billion parameter model, because beyond this, your system will crash. Gemma is one. Let us check Llama. For Llama, if you install this model, which is 70 billion parameter model, it will crash your system. You can definitely try out Tiny Llama or Code Llama. These models would typically work. Okay, there are a lot of tiny models like Tiny Dolphin and Tiny Llama, which will work even on small 4 GB RAM models. But if you have a 8 GB RAM model, don't go beyond 4 billion parameter models. If you've got 16 GB model, don't go beyond 8 billion parameter models. And even 8 billion parameter models would be difficult. Okay, so there are bunch of models available, and here in installed models you can see I have Gemma and I have got Qwen 3 1.7. Suppose I want to install another model. Okay, so what I'll do is if suppose I want to search for Qwen 3, okay, these models are too big, I won't be able to install that. So let me go to Coder model, Qwen 3 Coder. Okay, Star Coder 2B is a good model. I will say install, and there you go. It is now 0% and it will start installing this model in my system. Okay, I don't have to go to any other place. From Misty itself, I can install the model and understand what is it that I want to do. Okay, now there is a nice feature in Mystery Studio which has come very soon. Don't try to get confused with MLX models, Model Squad, etc. Don't be confused with that. Go to the Model Matchmaker. Okay, in Model Matchmaker, what you can do is you can tell what is it that you want to do. What do you want your model to do overall? Okay. For example, I will may reduce this. I want my model to do coding, say 30% of the time, 40% of the time coding, say 20% data analysis, and maybe the rest is something like this. Okay. And it doesn't have to really add up to 100. It is just like a normalized score. And I say that coding, data analysis, mathematics, and reasoning, what are the rankings overall? And then it says Claude 4.1 Opus is the best. Next comes Grok 4, O3 Pro High, Claude 4 Opus Thinking, and so on. Okay. Suppose you want to reduce coding, okay, and you want to make it more generalist, it says Gemini 2.5 Pro Preview is a better model. So it has got the model matchmaker basis what is it that you want to do. Now, what is model providers? Model providers is where you are connecting your any kind of API key. So if you say add provider, you can choose whichever API key you want to use. Suppose you want to use OpenAI, you can choose OpenAI, put the API key. You want to use Claude, put the Claude and the API key. Suppose you want to use, say, Google Generative AI, you can put the API key. Once you put the API key, give it a name and say save, it will be set up here to use. And then once it is set up here, because I have OpenRouter already installed, right? If you look at this, I have OpenRouter. In OpenRouter, right? Suppose I want to go to Gemini. Okay, I want to go to 2.5 Pro of Gemini. It is present in OpenRouter and I can now start typing and use it whatever way I want. All right, it has got another feature which is adding a split chat. So I can use Google Gemini over here. So, I can use Google Gemini. I can delete the message. I have Google Gemini. I have Qwen 3.3 and I have synced it up so I can attach the same prompt. Explain large language models to me like I am 5 years old. Okay, now I can say send and it will now check both the models. What is the output you can see and you can check. So 2.9 seconds quickly, it has told you what it is. Gemini 2.5 Pro is still thinking. It is thinking of the idea, the explanations, etc. And then it is now giving you the complete answer. So in this way, you can compare two models in a single shot. That is the usage of Mishti. Then the other place is prompts library. Okay. Now I can say new prompt. I can call it prompt designer. Okay. And then I can copy the prompt that I have built with my other model. So I'm just going there and I'm copying that model prompt. Just a second. I have copied that prompt and then I am putting it inside Mishti. Okay. So I am calling it prompt designer and I will say save. Okay. And if I want, I can copy this prompt to the clipboard and I can use it however I want. And suppose, just a second, delete the split. Okay. Now suppose I want to use this particular prompt designer. All right. I will clear this also. All right. Now that I have cleared this, what I'll do is I can set up my attachments. In attachments, I can add document, images, web pages, or YouTube links that are needed overall. And here there is quick prompts that I can add. So I can go to the quick prompt and I can say prompt designer. And my prompt designer prompt will come here, which I can use inside Mishti with Gemini 2.5 Pro. Okay, so quick overview of Mishti Studio. As I said, when you install Mishti Studio, it will ask you to download some model or the other. So just go with the default option and ask it to download that particular model. Check that the model size is less than 4 billion parameters. Otherwise, your system can crash. Then when you go inside, you have the model hub where you can go to model providers and add an API key and use those models inside Mishti, or you can click local models and choose whichever local models that you want to install. In case you want to check which models are good, etc., you have the model matchmaker inside Mishti Studio, which can help you do that. All right. So folks, are we clear about how to use Mishti? Of course, you will have to get your hands on and use it later on, but at least basic idea of Mishti is everybody clear? Yes. Okay. Now, what happens if in case your Mishti is not, suppose, installed properly or not working? Then option 2 is LM Studio. Okay. So let me, you can just Google LM Studio. Again, straightforward. You can install it for Mac, Windows, any system. So let me show LM Studio how it works. Now the LM Studio, the problem is, I will tell you, it is used only for local models. You can't use anything else. Okay. So I am just showing you local LM Studio. All right. And you can use a lot of local models. And there, what are the models that are available? I have installed the Gamma 3 model, which I can use. If I want to install more models, I can check here. I can check Quen Coder, etc. Ensure that the number of parameters are less than 4 billion, etc. Okay. For like 3 billion parameters. So this model is good. The Quen 2.5 coder 3 billion instruct, and I can say download to download it onto LM Studio and I can use it. The problem with LM Studio is I cannot integrate Open Router, Open AI or other models. That means if I want to use ChatGPT or any other kind of models, I cannot use it in LM Studio. Okay, LM Studio is strictly for local open source models. You cannot use it for open router, etc. That's why the first preference I would like you to adopt is Mishti Studio. If Mystery Studio does not work, come to LM Studio and check it out and install any less than 8 billion parameter model. Okay. Now, in case LM Studio also does not work, okay, the third option is Olama. And for Olama, I would say, don't try to use Olama directly. I will suggest you to check Perplexity, go to New, and say, I am a non-technical person. I want to install Olama. Help me with the step-by-step procedures. I'm a non-technical person. I want to install Olama. Help me with the step-by-step procedures. Also mention which operating system that you want to work on. That would help. I forgot to mention that, but if you mention that, it will tell you like easier way to install the systems. Okay, Olama RAM is 8 GB minimum, 16 GB plus is recommended. If you don't have the system, it will not work. Okay, so go to olama.com and you can say download. And when you download, it will check for Mac OS, Linux, or Windows. And then you can check wherever it is present. One good news is Olama has now started Olama Cloud. What it means is you can run larger models in the Olama cloud itself. So Olama has started monetizing. And the best part is it is privacy first. What it means is it does not retain your data at all to ensure your privacy and security. If you want a very faster, larger model that you want to use, right, you can use Olama because it guarantees you the privacy. And the best, important part I want to tell you, this was released just 8 days back. It was released just 8 days back, this entire Olama cloud. Okay, so I am using the Olama. I'm going to now give you a demo of Olama cloud so that you can use it. If you want to install it locally also, Olama can help you, but that is not straightforward. So I would say Olama Cloud would be better if you want to use larger models in a private manner. Okay, so let me just share my complete screen so that I can show you the place where I have the Olama. So Olama is present over here, as you can see. I am going to open Olama now. All right, I will check new thing. So when you open, you can actually look at what are the models that are available. All right. So here there are some cloud models I can suggest. There is GPT OSS 120 billion cloud model, which is the best open source model for usage with Olama. Got very good benchmarks. So if you are for privacy, if you are using on the cloud, use GPT OSS 120B because Olama guarantees you privacy. Okay. When somebody guarantees you privacy, you can use it very well. Okay. So I'm using the GPT OSS cloud and I can say explain large language models to me like I am 5 years old. This is where you can check if you want to use the internet or not. All right. For Olama, there is absolutely no attachments, etc. So that is one disadvantage. It has just released 8 days back. So you'll have to figure that part out. And you can actually, if you want, you can see which model. Suppose there is Quen 3 4 billion parameter model. I can check this and I can say this part and I can install it locally and use Quen 3 4 billion parameter model. Earlier, Olama was strictly command line, but just 10 days back, they have released a user-friendly interface that you could use for using your other models. Okay, so decreasing order, let me just recap everything. All right, in the decreasing order of preference, sorry, I can show it here only. So in the decreasing order of preference, first Mystery Studio is better. Okay, think of Mystery Studio because there you have the power to use local models. Okay, you have the power to use local models, or you have the power to use even remote models also. So if you want to use Claude, ChatGPT inside Mystery Studio, that is possible. LM Studio, Olama are completely remote, sorry, completely local models. And LM Studio, pure local model, only every model has to be installed on your system. Olama has got a cloud feature, which is a private feature. And to ensure privacy, they will charge you, say, $20. But for some few messages, you can use it even on Olama. I think in due course of time, they will add attaching files, etc. also. Okay, so there is always a trade-off with privacy and power. So if you want more power, you will have to take care of privacy a little bit. But if you want privacy, you will have to sacrifice a bit on power, and that is a call that you will have to take. Okay, folks, are we now do we have a basic understanding of what are the three tools available for accessing local models? Mystery Studio, then you have LM Studio and Olama. One of these would be more than sufficient. Okay, so for those of you who are working, who are asking questions on why local model for privacy use cases where you want to not give out your data outside, that is where you use a local language model. That's what I have explained overall. And which one to use? As I told, whatever works for you, you can use that one. I'm giving you three options so that even if one does not work, the other tool works. Okay. There you go. So now that we have understood this part, where we looked at three tools to kind of look at multiple models overall, right? Now I will solve the other problem of LLM, which is hallucination. The other problem of LLM, which is problematic, is hallucination. How can you ensure that the LLM is not hallucinating? Okay, how can you ensure that there is no hallucination in your large language model? To ensure there is no hallucination, you will need to understand a concept called RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. Okay, let us understand the concept of RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation, and we'll try to understand the concept of RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation, through an analogy. Okay, so let us assume that I have a super smart friend. There is a super smart friend that I have present. Okay, and this super smart friend that I know, who is really smart and has a lot of knowledge, has a fatal flaw. What is the fatal flaw of this friend? When he is asked a question, he is not sure of, for the answer, he is not sure of, he makes up facts. Okay, I have a super smart friend whose fatal flaw is when he is asked a question, he is not sure of the answer. He is going to make up facts and give me a wrong answer. Okay, now how do I overcome this problem? So for that, what I do is suppose I want to get travel itinerary or travel information. So I want to get travel information from this super smart friend, but I am scared that he's going to give me wrong information, and I get wrong information and I make extremely wrong travel plans. So then I have an idea. What do I do? I have an idea wherein I say I give a travel encyclopedia. Okay, I give a travel encyclopedia to my friend. I give a travel encyclopedia to my friend and I say, whenever I ask a question related to travel, check the encyclopedia, verify the facts, tell me from which page you have taken the facts, and then tell me the answer. Okay, so that is the workaround wherein I give information to this friend. Now, this travel encyclopedia is around 2000 pages. It is a 2000 page travel encyclopedia, which will really, which my friend says, I can't keep referring this 2000 pages travel encyclopedia. So, this is what I will do. What my friend does is he breaks it up into pieces of 15 pages each. So, there is first 15 pages, one part, second 15 pages, another part, third 15 pages, another part, and so on until 80 parts consisting of the 2000 pages. Okay, and the terms that are present in these 15 pages, I create a searchable index. For example, if Australia is mentioned in the first 15 pages, in my index, Australia will be present. And if Antarctica is present, it is present. Somewhere here, Greece will be present. Say some other company like Guyana will be present. Somewhere in between, India, Indonesia will be present, and so on. Sometimes it could happen that India is present in two, three books, two, three chunks also. Who knows? So I have this index. All right. So now I ask a query to my friend. Can you help me plan a 5-day trip to Greece? Okay, then it will search for, it will break these terms, search in the index. My friend searches his index, figures out that Greece is present in this particular thing, picks out relevant information out of that, uses his intelligence to frame it into a right answer, and then provide the answer to me. Okay, what you have just witnessed is nothing but how a RAG, a retrieval augmented generation system works. So a retrieval augmented generation, what it means is when you are asking a query, it retrieves the piece of text from where the query is present. So that is a retrieval. The 15 pages of information is augmented to this query, and the LLM uses this 15 pages of information to compose the answer. Okay, it is like giving a set of information which my LLM can index on and find the answer overall. Okay, once again, super smart friend who is making up facts. When I want to get travel information, I give a travel encyclopedia, which is 2000 pages, too much to index on. So then what this friend does is he'll break it into 15 pages each, 80 parts. And then I have a searchable index that I build. And then I take this searchable index. And then when I have a query, I retrieve those set of pages and compose the answer. That is how a RAG system works. Folks, do you now understand what a RAG system is? How does it work overall? Do you guys have the understanding? Yes? Okay. A RAG system is used when you want your LLM to not have any kind of hallucinations. Okay. So because you don't want hallucinations, You give it a piece of information, you give it a proper text, and you use the text and the index of the information to ensure that you are in the right hands and you are getting the information from the right sources overall. Okay, so now let me show you a practical explanation of a RAG system. I will show you how do I build a simple RAG system. Okay, and this simple RAG system, I will build it on a platform called Diffie. So I will build this on a platform called Diffie. Okay, so this is the system on which I'm going to show you a RAG system. Okay, what is the use case? I suppose there is a platform called Myntra. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Myntra is a platform where I can sell, which sells clothes. It sells clothes online. Okay, and I think another option could be something like Shein or other platforms which sell clothes online. Think of any example. Let us assume that I have the inventory data. I have the inventory data of Myntra. Okay, now I want to set up a simple customer query system so that when customer asks a question on the inventory of Myntra, then basis the questions, Myntra can, the system can answer and give suggestions on what inventory is available, what clothes are available, what you can buy, what you need not buy, etc. All right. So let me first show you the how the inventory is kind of showed. So first let me show you that. Let me import that file. So this is a Myntra product catalog, which is present, and this is how it typically looks like. Okay, so it has an index, it has the name of the item overall, which is like woman campsite Oxfords, and a complete description onto what that thing is, the dimensions, etc. Okay, this is the information that is present overall. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to design a system wherein first I will take the query. I will take the query from the user, and then I will put in a small classifier wherein I will classify if the query is related to Myntra or not Myntra. If the query is related to Myntra, I will proceed to the next stage. If the query is not related to Myntra, I will say I cannot answer the question. So wherever I'm not sure, I will say I cannot answer the question. Then if it is Myntra, it will go into my knowledge base that I will prepare. I will show you how to prepare that also. And then after the knowledge base, it will read and provide the answer. Okay, so query, classifier, Myntra, it will go to the RAG knowledge base and provide the answer. If it is not Myntra, it will say, I cannot provide the answer. So that is what we are going to build right now. So let us start building it. For that, I will go to diffie.org and I can sign up on with Google, and I have got multiple things that I can use. And it is always a good idea to create from a template. Okay, so I will look at multiple templates. So it has got very good templates that are available overall. And the template that I will use is Knowledge Retrieval Plus, because I have a knowledge that I'm going to use. So I can use with a Knowledge Retrieval Plus or a Question Classifier Plus. Anything would work. Let me go with a Question Classifier Plus. And this one, I will call it Myntra chatbot. Okay, what is the description? Answers questions about Mintra. I am using the free version of Diffie right now. In the free version of Diffie, I can use I can use quite some credits overall, and therefore I will get started. Okay, let me just expand it. It is like a simple drag and drop workflow, and I can just edit this workflow and make it work for my case. So first step is start. Second step is question classifier. I can use the very simple GPT 3.5 itself. I don't require anything. Okay. And here I require only two classes. One class is question related to Mintra. Other class is other types of questions. Okay. So I can delete the between one. Okay. And this also I can delete this overall. I can even deleted the extra nodes. Okay. So now I am going to set up everything. All right. So for class one is I am going to say question related to Mintra in or inventory Mintra or the inventory or something related to clothes. Okay. And the class 2 is other questions. Class 1 is Mintra. So if it is Mintra, it will go to the knowledge retrieval. If it is class 2, it will go to other questions where I can say something like, sorry, the query is not related to Mintra. I can't help you with these questions. So I'm upfront saying that I cannot help you with these questions in here. Okay. Now I am going to set up my knowledge base. Now for the knowledge base, I have to add my knowledge. So I can add my button over here. I already have my Mintra knowledge already selected. I can add it over here. How to make the knowledge, I will show you. For now, just stay with me. I have the Mintra knowledge that I have added. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is in the LLM, which is here, instead of GPT 3.4 overall, I will use GPT 4.0 mini, better model overall. Okay. I'll use the better model and I retain everything as it is. So what it is going to do is it is going to pick up the particular context that is relevant to my query that I retrieve from my Excel sheet, and then it will say when you answer to user, if you don't know, just say that you don't know. If you don't know, when you are not sure, ask for clarification. Avoid mentioning that you obtained the information from the context and answer according to the language of the user's question. That's what you want to do. Okay. And then I will provide the answer that the LLM has kind of given. Okay, a very simple RAG system, which where I put in the query, it will classify the query, for the relevant query, it will retrieve the knowledge and it will answer the questions. So let me ask the preview. So this is a preview where I can talk to the bot and I can say, what are the summer wear options available to males? Something like that. What are the summer wear options available? So it is going to the Mintra, it is retrieving, and now it is providing me the complete answer. It is saying classic plaid short sleeve shirt, men's tropical adventure zip leg, organic cotton, which can be very helpful. And it is saying the citations as to saying that from the product catalog, it has actually picked this up. Okay. If I give some nonsense query, right? Let us give it a nonsense query. What is the latest song of Coldplay? All right. Then it will go to this. It will say, sorry, the query is not related to Myntra. I cannot help you with these questions. Okay. So if you see here, you have your basic RAG system already set up in less than 5 minutes. Let us go through it once again to see what has been happening. Number one, you start, then you add a classifier, and where do you get everything, etc. You can look at, if you say plus add node, you get everything, if else, iteration, code, template, etc., all that, right? But you can add a question classifier, and then from the question classifier, you decide whether, if it is a relevant question, go to the knowledge retrieval. If it is an irrelevant question, say that this query is not related to Myntra. Then you go to the LLM, which is GPT-4o Mini, and then you can say this is the answer that could be provided. All right. So this is how I can set up a simple RAG system on Diffie. Now, if I want to add more knowledge for another RAG system, I click on knowledge. Okay. And I can say create knowledge overall. Okay. I can import from a file. I can sync from Notion, or I can sync it from website. All of these files are available. So suppose I have one more file. All right. I'm just putting a owner's manual for Tesla. Okay, Tesla knowledge base. Okay, I will say next. Then I am going to, I'm not going to really add any kind of things. I will just say use the basic parameters. Don't try to break your head on what these parameters are, what it will do, etc. Use the default parameters and say save and process. And you can see that your PDF is now getting indexed. And later, with this PDF, I can set up a Tesla support bot. Okay, and I'll show you how to do that. So let it kind of finish right now. I will go to my workspace. All right, I will duplicate this for now, and I'll call it Tesla chatbot. Okay, now what I'll do here is questions related to, instead of Myntra, I will say questions related to the Tesla car or mechanical troubles or help with Tesla car. Okay, so that is what I have defined. Now the knowledge base, I will delete this and I will try to add something. And here my owner's manual is now ready. I can add it over here. Okay, and now let me, everything else remains the same. I will preview and I will say my Tesla car, though fully charged, is not starting. Okay, my Tesla car, though fully charged, is not starting. And then it is check for alerts, inspect the charge port and cable, try a different charging cable, and it has pulled it out from the owner's manual. So within minutes, right, I can build multiple customer support bots. And for the free version, you can build 5 applications and up to 20 to 50 MB of knowledge base. Okay, so pretty handy tool, very simple to use. You can also try it out later. You can build any kind of RAG system with this. Okay, so let me now do like a full-fledged recap of all that we have learned today so that we have a complete understanding of what we learned. So number one, what we learned was, wait a minute. Yeah. So number one, what we try to learn, we try to learn about prompting. And in prompting, there are 2 types of prompting. One is co-star and the other was meta prompting. Meta prompting means You are trying to build a prompt that can build other prompts. CoStar, we took the screenshot and built the CoStar prompt. Meta prompt, we went to AI Studio, Google AI Studio, and then we used the Google Prompt Engineering Guide. Then we used the OpenAI GPT-5 guide, and we used the Anthropic guide to create a strong meta prompt. Okay. Then we looked at the ideas of API, webhook, system, and user prompt. Okay, system and user prompt is very important and very useful when you are trying to work with the OpenAI playground. So we looked at OpenAI playground, wherein we use the system prompt and the user prompt overall. System prompt is the character, user prompt is the action that is being taken, and we have learned these concepts. Then we try to understand a bit about privacy of everything, privacy of LLMs, and for that we looked at local models, and we looked at multiple platforms like Misty Studio. Then we looked at LM Studio, and we looked at Olama. Misty Studio is very versatile and powerful, can use remote models as well as local models, and you can even have prompt designer, etc. built into Misty Studio. You can use that. LM Studio and Olama only for open source models. LM Studio strictly local models. You cannot use any other models in LM Studio. Whereas Olama, you can actually use, cloud also, and they give you a privacy cloud at $20 pricing. Very recently announced, more than 8 days, and if you want to use, say, powerful models or local models locally, you should choose something between 4 billion to 8 billion parameter model for 8 to 16 GB RAM. If you want to go higher, you need more RAM and GPUs. If you want to go higher than this, you will require more RAM and GPU for this. So that is with respect to the privacy. The other part was hallucination. Okay. And for hallucination, to overcome hallucination, we used RAG. And RAG is nothing but, think of RAG like a super smart friend who has a knowledge base on which they have indexed upon, so that when you ask any question to the super smart friend, they will first check the knowledge base, retrieve the information from the knowledge base, and then only that retrieved information from the knowledge base will be used for everything else. So that is the RAG system. And for RAG, we built it through Diffie. We built a Myntra chatbot. Okay, we built a Myntra chatbot and we built a Tesla chatbot. And these chatbots do not take unnecessary questions. If a question is completely out of scope, it is going to, not take the question at all. Okay, so that is what Diffie does. And these are the concepts that you have learned today. I know it has been packed. Some of it might be a little intense, but do the recap, get your hands dirty, try out a few things. I would implore you two things to remember. Number one, think about how you were yesterday versus today. Yesterday, what you knew versus today, what you know. If yesterday versus today, you are having a little more information than usual, right? That means you are in the direction. Don't compare with others. The only comparison is yourself. And I also want to leave you with a very powerful thought on using AI. Okay, I can think of a powerful thought on using AI. And the powerful thought on using AI is this: use AI, don't use AI for, so this is the quotation which my professor told me, don't use AI for, like, like how a drunkard uses a street light. Okay. For support rather than illumination. Okay, let me repeat the quotation. Don't use AI like a drunkard uses a street light, for support rather than for illumination. Okay, so the reason a street light is present is to shed light. The reason AI is present is to be a collaborator and amplify your thoughts. Don't use AI for support. Don't use AI like a crutch, so that when suddenly AI disappears, you are completely lost and you don't know what to do. Okay, you are going to become AIGs. You are starting your journey to become an AIG. So this quotation is super, super important. I just realized that suppose you want to kind of, put this into any kind of a website, you can say publish it. Okay, you can say publish update. And here there is, well, let me say publish update overall. It is successful. Then I can embed it into any website. So for embedding into any website, the HTML code of the website that you have, you just have to copy this and your chatbot could be live on your website. It is as simple as that. Okay, so your chatbot would be done and you can even use it like a chatbot in this particular manner or on the side or like a floating one. Okay, so you can use however you want and actually publish this chatbot and embed it into any kind of websites that you want. All right, so that's it for today, folks. I hope the session was useful. Just let me check right now. What do you guys think? Was the session useful? You learned something new? It was intense for some, but you learned something new. You felt good. You are in the right direction, right? Practice, try to practice a lot of stuff, and you can build multiple things and you solve multiple problems with AI. All right. So these sessions, the sessions ahead are also going to be little heavy like this, but at the end of the day, they're going to be rewarding. And I would love for all of you to start practicing and take your first steps to being an AIG. All right. So Bharadwaj, over to you.
All right, people. I hope it was a great session for all of you. Of course, few people would find it to be information overload, but no, it's not overload. It is adequate of what you'll have to consume, right? So expect learnings like these and valuable insights like these coming in for the next couple of days in the AI Accelerator program, right? So, but before that, let's take a quick feedback poll on this session, on how this has been. And team, can we have the link in the chat, please? Meanwhile, I'm setting up my screen to share. Okay. So people, it's a Google form, right? So you can go there and drop the feedback while 1 means the lowest and 5 means the highest. So you can raise it's 0 to 5, right? So you can rate the session. Please, your valuable feedback is very, very crucial for us to see and improve and do better at what is happening, right? So if you can rate the session in two verticals, which is one, mentor delivery and the content that has been taught. So I request, not even request, I make it mandatory for each and every one of you to go click on the link and please enter the feedback. All right. I hope you folks are able to click on the feedback form. I'll take 5 to 8 minutes for you folks to fill that feedback form up. Meanwhile, my team will keep updating on how many not coming up with QR code. But you have the link in the chat. You can click on that. Yes, please use the same email ID that you folks have given us. It'll be helpful for us to maintain a record. Team, keep us posted on the number of responses that we got. All right, people, expecting each and every one of you to click on the link, go and give the feedback. This will be really, really helpful. We'll have Q&A now after the feedback session is done. We will go into the breakout rooms so that you folks can ask questions. So we have only 120 responses so far. We need more. Looking forward to hearing from you people. If you don't give that feedback, we would never know. Requesting each and every one of you to click on the link or scan the QR code and please fill up the feedback. I'll take another 5 minutes to gather more feedback. Looking forward to hear from each and every one of you. Please take a moment and fill the feedback form. All right, people, I'll wait 2 more minutes on this slide. I'll wait 2 more minutes here to get the feedback. The moment I get 50% responses, I will move ahead. Meanwhile, mentors and team, you folks can do the instructions in the backstage while we do the reflections after feedback for the Q&A. All right, 1 more minute, people. I'm going to wait for 1 more minute on the slide for collecting more feedback. This is your opportunity to talk about how this session has gone for you and how you have gained any valuable insights from this session. Please let us know how this experience was. Okay, 1 more minute. I think we are almost done. All right, thank you. If anyone else was still filling up, we'll send this link on the LMS. We'll put it on LMS. We will, in fact, put it on the WhatsApp group as well. But how was the session, people? Again, let me ask you. Probably Dilip would have asked you, but I want to know. I want to know from you how this session was for all of you. I'm sure you must have made notes while you were going through, and you must have gotten a lot of ideas while you were actually listening to Dilip, right? One of the very, very, very experienced and slow teaching mentor. I'm sure you find it very, very informative and interesting, right? So I'll take another 3 minutes before we hop into the Q&A while my team is prepping up in the backstage for the Q&A that to happen. I want all of you to gather your thoughts and your notes that you've made, and please make a reflections. So what we call this activity as called as reflections activity. What is reflections? As the name suggests, what it means is you take a moment and you reflect back on what has been taught and discussed, right? And what have you learned? So I want you folks to put this up. I want you folks to put this up on reflections tab in the LMS. So you click on this link, okay? You click on this link that I've dropped. Okay, let me share my screen. The moment you click on this link, it takes you to something like this. Okay. And the moment it takes something like this, we will enter, you will have to enter your name and you should say level, which level is it? It's level 1. Okay. My key takeaway was prompt engineering, fundamentals, let's say running LLM locally. And I will generate a badge and a text that it generates, and I can download this batch and I can put it on my LinkedIn, I can put it on my socials, anywhere, and also on the LMS. So on the LMS, we provided a space called reflections. When Uttapa was talking about this tab called reflections, this is what it means. So it generates a nice little post for each and every one of you based on the takeaways that you mentioned, right? It generates a post. The moment the post is generated, you copy this, download the batch, and go to your LMS, right? And go to your LMS and post it under the reflections tab. All right. So you will find your reflections tab here. Okay. You click on this reflections, and there you go. You can post it. Okay. I'm not in this page, is it? All right. So you can click on new post and you can say that day 1 ended with a banger. And then you copy this post, and then I will upload the picture that I have. And I will publish. Okay. The picture was still in draft, so it did not upload, but you wait until it loads, it will be uploaded. And of course, there is gratitude here, gratitude channel. Please fill up the gratitude channel with gratitude messages for Dilip. Okay, please do fill this up. Do these two activities in the next 3 minutes, and after that, we will jump into the Q&A. Are we aligned? Are you folks with me in this? Are you folks with me on this? The reflections link is in the chat. So please make sure to do this right away. I'm turning the chat off and I'm posting the reflection again. Okay. 3 minutes and we will be going into the Q&A. All right, I'll wait for 2 more minutes. I'm seeing reflections coming in. All right. So I hope we're all done with the activity. I see a lot of you people have been posting. Great to see all this. Let's continue this activity in the next upcoming sessions as well. But yeah, now the most awaited and the last thing in this webinar today is the Q&A, right? I'm sure you must have had all the questions. So until here, the session is recorded. This recording will be available to all of you in the next 8 to 9 hours, not because we want to delay, because Zoom takes a while for the recording to be processed. And the moment it is processed, you will get the recording on your LMS itself. You will find it on your learners management system itself, right? So you will find it there and you can watch your recording at your own pace, right? You get post reads of this session. you get the transcript, you get the recording as well, right? Now, the most important thing, now we will create breakout rooms. You will hop onto breakout rooms. You cannot unmute, but you will have the mentor sharing the Slido link to you. You know Slido. What is Slido? We've done it on day zero. For those who don't know Slido, it's an organized platform where you can take Q&A in an organized manner, where you can see other people's questions as well, and mentor can keep answering as and when the question pops up, right? So we will do this, and the breakout rooms cannot be recorded. So recording of the breakout room will not be provided, because not because we don't want to record, it's because Zoom does not allow us to record these breakout rooms. Why we create breakout rooms? Because we wanted smaller groups to be interacted with the mentors, and that's the reason why we have the breakout rooms created, right? So are we all ready for the Q&A, people? A yes in the chat. I've opened the chat again. Yes. All right. I'm sure you had a bunch of questions that are lined up. You will see me and Dilip also in few breakout rooms. So team, and also people, remember which breakout room you're joining, because at the end we will